Okay, you continue. Okay, I'm going to start inshallah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Okay, so this is the Seerah class. We have 8 people now watching. Okay, good. How are you guys? I hope you're okay. Good. Right. Let me just adjust my table. Bismillah. So I can have my book here. Right. We started in the Seerah. We got up to the Battle of Badr. Okay. We got up to the Battle of Badr. So I mentioned to you last lesson, some of those things which led up to the Battle of Badr. And I'll just recap some of those. The Prophet ﷺ has now established himself in Al-Madinah. He is the leader in Al-Madinah. He's been accepted as the leader in Al-Madinah. He's made treaties and contracts with the 3 Jewish tribes, Banu Qaynuqa, Banu Qurayda, Banu Nadir, and also the Ansar. Obviously, and the Muhajirin have become one. He also has united the Ansar and the Muhajirin by laying out certain rules that they must follow. So the next step that he did was to make himself stronger by letting other people know in the region around them that the Muslims are a force now, and they're not someone weak, okay, that can easily be persecuted or attacked like they were back in Mecca. So now what's happened is that Rasulullah ﷺ has sent out groups of people to intercept certain trade caravans of Al-Quraysh. Now, one of the reasons why to attack the trade caravans was to cut off the supply routes to Mecca. Quraysh. Now, if people don't have access to money, okay, and they don't have access to products, then what happens is they end up becoming weaker. Okay, and especially in a place like Mecca, which didn't produce anything. Okay, everything had to be imported in. Okay, so everything had to be bought in. So if you're going to shut that off, then you're not, unless you produce yourself, and the Meccans didn't produce themselves. Okay, so that was one of the strategies that Rasulullah wanted to do. So we went through that last week. He did a few of those where he sent out people to attack trade caravans, and Qadar Allah, the Quraysh caravans always managed to escape. What happened is leading up to this Battle of Badr. Now, there was a trade caravan that belonged to Abu Sufyan. Okay, caravan belonging to Abu Sufyan, and it consists of 40,000, no, 50,000, 50,000? Let me just check, sorry. Yeah, 50,000. It was 50,000 gold dinars. Okay, that's a lot of wealth. Even by these standards in today, that's a lot of money. I don't know exactly how much. Okay, you can probably find out yourself, or if any of you know, you can put it into the comments so we can see it. 50,000 gold dinars, what the value of that in riyals will be. But anyway, it'll be lots and lots. So they were being protected by 40 soldiers, 40 guards, sorry, not soldiers, guards. And they were traveling from, they had gone from Mecca to Sham, Syria. And on the way back, this is what they were carrying, because they had sold all the stuff, okay, and bought new merchandise. So when the Muslims found out about this, and Rasulullah found out about this, immediately he sent he sent a small group of men, Talha bin Abdullah and Sa'ad bin Ziyad, okay, to scout and to find out what was happening. So they found out this news, and they returned back to Medina, and they told the Prophet ﷺ that Abu Sufyan is coming with 50,000 gold dinars, and in his caravan is protected by 40 guards, okay, and this is the route they're taking. Okay, immediately the Prophet ﷺ got the Muslims, and he instructed the Muslims to leave. Let's go and raid or capture this caravan. Now, that time the Muslim army that he took consisted of about 300 to 317 men, and they set out not to fight war. Okay, they set out to capture a caravan. So as they set out, and now they had 2 horses, okay, and 70 camels. 70 camels, 2 horses, approximately between 300 and 317 men, Sahabi, and they set out. Now, what happened is Abu Sufyan, on the other hand, was alert, okay, because he was alert because he knew that this route is dangerous, and the Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims have tried to capture other caravans before. Now, what happened is he found out that what the Muslims had planned to do, okay, because he also had his men around trying to find, information. Now, obviously, what would happen, wa alaikum salam, Farhan, what he would say is, what they would do at that time, obviously the caravan's going, so they would have men that would travel up front, okay, and groups of men, like 2 or 3 of them, in different directions, just to find out what's going on. And how they would find out information would be they would see, maybe ask Bedouins that live in there, shepherds that they find on the way, people like that, and they'll just sort of find out what's going on, who's been going past, things like that. So, or they would go and they would spy on other kind of Muslims that were traveling, finding out what it is. Yeah, okay, good. Shehzad, 50,000 gold dinars is, well, that's a lot. 112.5 million riyals. Yeah, a lot of money. 112.5 million, yes, a lot. 112.5 million, which riyals, a lot of money. So imagine that's the amount that they were traveling with, okay, cash, not in bank accounts. This was cash they were traveling with. So you can see why this was a very prized caravan. Anyway, thank you, Jazakallah khair for that, Shehzab. So they used to travel, and they used to scout and in front of the caravan. Okay, so Abu Sufyan, obviously, he was a very, very intelligent person, experienced person. He was one of the leaders of Quraysh. So he could, he put people out, and he would constantly be having people coming back, getting, gathering as to what's going on. So anyway, he managed to find out that the Prophet ﷺ is intending this. So what he did was he did two things. Firstly, he sent a message to Makkah, okay, and he sent a guy called Damdam. Yeah, that was his name, Damdam. Damdam bin Amr al-Ghifari. Okay, Damdam bin Amr. So he sent him, okay, and he said to him that immediately go to Makkah and alert the Makkans, and we need backup. So bring a force here because our caravan is under threat. That's the first thing he did. Second thing Rasulullah did was that he changed the route and he went more towards the coast. Okay, so you're way away from the normal route that they would come. What this guy Damdam did was that he rode his camel fast, very fast, got into Makkah. As he was, just before he got into Makkah, what he did was that he tore his clothes, okay? And they had this thing where what Arabs used to do in, what they used to do to to raise, to make it, he dramatized it, okay? Wa alaikum salam, Anas. He dramatized it. He cut his shirt, and then what he did was he cut the nose of his camel, okay, and its ears, so it was bleeding, okay. And then he came in shouting at top of his head into Makkah, where the Kaaba was, and he said, "Oh Quraysh, help, help! Oh Quraysh, help!" Okay, your merchandise is with Abu Sufyan. Okay, the caravan has been intercepted by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions. I cannot say what would happen. Help, help. And so he dramatized it. He really made it look really bigger than what happened. And then immediately, all the Makkans gathered together. Now, this was a matter of honor for the Makkans, okay? Because remember, who was the Muslims? The Muslims were people that they persecuted, that basically lived under the strict command, of Quraysh. They used to torture them. So they were people that they used to think as people that were very low and the people that have gone against them. And they had a lot of hatred for them. So what happened is that Abu Jahl immediately, someone's, Subhan, your video is stopping. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know if I can help you on that or not. I don't think so. Does anyone know does anyone know how I can view who's watching? It does say on the top 17 people, but how could I find out who those 17 are? Because or 18 now. I'm clicking on I'm trying to press on the I button and I'm not getting anything. Okay, so I was just wondering if anybody knows, maybe they can put it into the comments, how I can view who is watching, not how many, the names. It's Farhan. You type up your something to say. But if not, then don't worry, let's carry on anyway. So he goes into Makkah. He dramatizes this situation, and now Quraysh, it's a matter of honor for Quraysh. So what they do is they rally all the people behind, and they say that, look, we have to go out. Okay, so they gather some of the local tribes around Makkah. Okay, and they ended up gathering 1,300 soldiers. Okay, 100 horsemen. Okay, and 600 soldiers of them were armored, meaning they had armor on them. Okay, so if the sword hits them or an arrow hits them, it doesn't really harm them much. So they had 600 of them, of the 1,300, and 100 horsemen. Now imagine, yes, who's Ukasha and Hanzala are present. Okay, assalamu alaikum. If we could use, yeah, I prefer Zoom as well, actually, but I was told that you have to use this. So, and don't know if everybody else has Zoom or not. Muhammad Anderson, you can see who is there. How can I? I know on here there's I can tell me how many people are watching. So there's 20 people watching. How can I find out who it is? That's what I don't know. It's not giving me any options to find out what it is. Obviously there's a chat option. The only options I have is a chat, to turn my camera around and to put these funny gimmick images on the screen. That's all I have here, and then it tells me how many people watch. Yeah, it's lagging. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. Okay, not on Facebook. Okay, thank you for that. Let me try. I tell you what, because I'm using my Wi-Fi. Let me come off that and use the data instead. Yeah, that might be better because I'm not using. Mohammed said this is more for live stream while Zoom is made for these lessons. Yes, yeah, I know. I agree with you. Inshallah, okay, maybe next lesson we'll do on Zoom because I use Zoom for my other classes I teach at university. It's much easier for this because Abdul Aziz, I'm doing Battle of Badr. Yes, everyone will have Zoom now because there's. It's lagging. Okay, shall I? Okay, question. Please type the answer on the thing. Shall we change to Zoom now? Just type your answer in the thing. But next class Zoom done. Yeah. Let's do. I think next class might be better because what time is it now? What's the time? Let's check. Yes. Most people are saying yes. Okay, if you haven't got Zoom, can you download it, please? So Anas Khan, can you download Zoom? Abdullah Ahmed Khan, you also? Okay. Sir, but you will need everyone's Zoom ID. No, what happens is I will send out the. Yeah, it's difficult actually. You know what, guys? Let's leave it for this week. Let's let it run as it is, and I'll get it prepared next week. So inshallah, it should be much more smoother next week. Okay. So let's just carry on how we're doing. Okay. Right. Because I'm also thinking that the amount of time we have, that if we do Zoom, someone can't connect, and all these problems, time goes, and then we'll miss out on the lesson, so it won't be worth it. So let's just carry on as we're doing now, and inshallah next week we'll do the Zoom. So back to the Sirah point. So the Quraysh now rally up a whole load of people. Okay, these includes the Mushrikeen of Makkah, and also includes some of the tribes that were nearby. And they set out. Now, the only person that didn't, one of the people that didn't go was Abu Lahab. Okay, and he did actually some of the other guys made fun of him for this as well. But he said that he couldn't go. He made an excuse and he said he couldn't go. But he delegated someone else who owed him some money to go. So he said, you can go instead. And so they took them. So now you've got 1,300 soldiers armed and ready, okay, with 100 horsemen. Muslims only have 2, okay. And a whole load of camels. Now, the number of camels that they slaughtered every day for food, okay, was between 9 and 10. 9 and 10 camels. That's loads of meat. So that's how many people they were. And obviously it's an army, so you have to feed them well, so that's how much food supply they had. Now, when they were going out, at a critical moment, because what they were thinking was that we will leave Mecca, and behind us, what if somebody was to come and attack, or the Prophet ﷺ or the Muslims had something to do, they would come around the back and attack in Mecca. So Iblis himself came in the form of a man, okay? He came in the form of Suraka bin Malik, okay? And which was the chief of the Bani Kenaka, okay, which was the Jewish tribe. And he came in his this image, and he said that I guarantee you nothing will happen from the back. Meaning that nothing will happen from the back when you're traveling to this place to fight the Muslims. So anyway, they left. Okay. Now they moved swiftly towards Badr. Okay, because that was the point where Abu Sufyan had told them to meet. Okay. So now what happens is that they get a message. Abu Sufyan obviously has past the danger, and he's come along the side of the coast, and he's coming down that way back towards Mecca, and he sends a message out now to the mushrikeen of Mecca, Abu Jahl, that look, go back now, the problem solved, we've escaped, and we're going to head towards Mecca. Abu Jahl, on the other hand, was very arrogant and stubborn, and he really hated Muslims. He just hated them, okay? And he wanted to carry on and pursue this and carry on until he wanted to basically defeat the Muslims. Now, some people in the Meccans actually part of the army wanted to go back to Mecca, because they said, look, we came out here to protect the caravan. The caravan is safe, okay? So it is not. Hang on, you guys are saying that it's a problem for me. No, I have data. I'm not on my who's it? Shazab Safraz. No, it's I have data, and my data connection's quite good. So I don't know. I mean, the thing is that these days a lot of people are using these kind of online things. So yeah, you're going to get problems. Okay, STC has been very poor as well, so we don't know. I don't know if it's my end or your end. Okay, so I can't listen to what you're saying. Why is that? Also, it's lagging out. Can the rest of you guys just give me a little message to see how your connection is? Can you hear me clearly or not, or is it lagging? If it's lagging, just write lagging. If it's okay, just write yes. It's okay. Okay, so I know, because then that way we'll know that if it's only you, Subhan Khan, it might be your network connection, not ours. I don't know. So is he telling to Subhan Khan? Yes, I am. Because Subhan Khan is saying it's lagging. Abdullah, Hudayfa, you're okay. Huzaifa, Muhammad, yes, it's okay. Okay, once is enough. Yes, it's okay. So, Alhamdulillah, fine. Okay, so we have a lot of people. Okay, only Subhan, it seems to be lagging only for you then, because there's a lot of other people which is okay. So it might be your net connection. Okay? Aman Khan, yes. Okay, so we've got quite a few people that it's okay with. Okay, so anyway, so mine is fine now, Alhamdulillah, fine. Farhan's fine. Muhammad, Shahid, so it's okay. Okay, good. All right, fine, no problem. Okay, so Subhan, I think it might be your connection, your end, not here. Okay, so let's get on with this. So what happens is that some of the army of Makkah want to go back, because they said, look, we came to protect. We've done our, we're not needed now. His caravan safe. Let's go back. Abu Jahl, on the other end, didn't. He wanted to go and fight the Muslims. He actually wanted to crush the Muslims. So they moved towards Badr, and some of the surrounding tribes. There was a tribe that also said, "Look, we don't want to go, so we want to return back to Mecca," and that was Banu Zahra. So they went. So now the mushrikeen of Mecca were down to 1,000 people. About roughly 300 had left. Okay, still 3 times as much as what the Muslims are. Okay, so now when they arrive, they arrive at a place called Al-Udwat al-Quswa. Al-Udwat al-Quswa. They set up camp there, and this is where they arrive. So now the Muslims are nearby, and they realize that war is imminent. Okay, so the Prophet ﷺ, he seeks advice now from a Sahabi, what is an Ansari Sahabi, because you have to remember that, look, the Muslims have just come to Medina. The people living in Medina never really knew the Muslims before that. They never really knew the Muhajirin. Okay, so now they're being taken to war. So it's quite a big thing. So, and this is another thing of seeking advice. See, the Prophet ﷺ, he sought advice from this. So it's a lesson for us that if we do something, something that has could have a big impact, or quite an important decision to make, that we have to seek advice. So he sought advice from Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, which was an Ansari Sahaba. Okay, he was an Ansari Sahaba, and he sought advice from them. And what happened is the Ansari Sahaba, they responded, and hold on, let me just find that quote exactly where it was. He said to advise them. So he asked them, and he said, "O Prophet," it says Sa'ad radiallahu anhu, Ansari, is saying to the Prophet, he's saying, "O Prophet of Allah, we believed in you and we bear witness in you. Okay, and we testified and we declared that you have the truth. We gave you our pledge in Aqaba. Remember Aqaba? We gave you our pledge in Aqaba. Okay, of our obedience and our sacrifice, and we will obey you in the most willing kind of way. Okay, in whatever you command us to do. And by Allah, it was He who sent you with the truth. And if you were to ask us to throw ourselves into the sea, then we'll be ready to do this without any hesitation whatsoever. And not any of us Ansar will be left behind. Meaning we will do everything for you. Even if you tell us to drown ourselves in the sea, we will do that." Now the Prophet ﷺ, when he heard this, he became very happy. He smiled. Okay. And also the Prophet ﷺ, he turned to the Muslims, at that time the Muhajirin, and he asked them for their opinion. And the Muhajirin, they gave a very good answer. He said, let me just find where it was, because I would like to read that. I can't find the ayah at the moment, but he said, anyway, he said, Lasna ashabul Musa. We are not like the people of Musa, the Banu Israel, when they said, Fadhab anta wa rabbuk. When Musa alayhi salam said to them, get ready to go fight, they said, no, you and your Lord, you go. Okay, so we will stay here. He said, we're not like that. Okay, we will go with you. So Rasulullah was very happy. When he did that. The other important thing here to make a point of, which I mentioned earlier, is to seek advice. You should always seek advice from people, but not from everybody. Okay, you must seek advice from people that know about and have knowledge of the issue that you want to ask advice for. Okay, so you can't just ask advice for someone who who doesn't know. Like for example, you have an issue to do with certain types of homework or something. You'll need to ask something. You're not going to ask someone who doesn't know about it. You'll ask someone who knows about it. So in that aspect, seeking advice is good. So what time is it now? What time? It's 10 o'clock. Okay, just a second. Just want to check. Right. Right, we have time. Alhamdulillah. So Rasulullah seeks advice. Now, and there are many ayahs in the Quran about this issue of badar. Okay, and a lot of them are in Surah Anfal. Okay, so the Prophet ﷺ, after he sought advice, realized that this is a fight is imminent. They had found out roughly how many mushrikeen there were there, about 1,000, and the Muslims now were fighters were about 313. Okay, that's what the is well known, 313. However, here in the book it says between 300 and 317. Okay, they Muslims ready. So even though it was 3-1, they had 2 horses. Okay, the Mushrikeen had 600. Sorry, was it 600? I said, yeah. The Mushrikeen of Makkah had 600 soldiers, which is armored, and 100 horses. Okay, so they had a lot of people with them. So it's the rough ratio was 3-1. So for every Muslim, there'll be 3 mushrikeen kuffar that will be could attack 1 Muslim. That was the ratio, 3-1. Okay, so now what happens is that they get ready for the battle. So the Prophet ﷺ appraised his men. He informed the Sahaba, okay, of the gravity of the situation, and he asked for their advice, and he gave the Sahaba, they gave advice as well. They said, go, we're not like Ashab Musa, أذهب أنت وأنت وربك فقاتلا إنها هنا قائدون. They didn't say that. They said that we are not like that, we will stand and we will fight with you. So Prophet ﷺ then was happy about that. Then he, I mentioned he went to Ansar, he asked them, and they also said, whatever you give us, we will do that. He was very impressed and with the spirit of sacrifice. So then he said to them, be ready and be happy, for Allah has promised a victory for us. And it's as if I've seen the enemy lying down, in prostration, like that. So he said that to them. So now, about the battle itself, okay? So this was a place in Badr. Now, I don't know if some of you have been there or not. I've been, that it's on the way. If we go from Jeddah to Medina, the motorway route most of you guys probably would take would not be through Badr, but you can go through Badr because it's not a highway route. You have to go inside into some of the villages, and past that you get into the town of Badr. Okay, so I'd advise you, you should go there. It's a historical place. Have a look at it. It's the place which decided many things. That battle was also called Yawm al-Furqan. In the Battle of Badr was also called Yawm the battle that day was called Yawm al-Furqan, because that was the day that decided what will happen. So now so Rasulullah sallallahu he sent Ali radiallahu anhu, Az-Zubair, and Sa'ad bin Abi Waqas to scout about for news exactly. Okay, so let's size the enemy up properly. So they're in Badr, they're close to the wells of Badr, and the mushrikeen of Makkah are not too far away. So they go there, and they saw 2 men drawing water near the Meccan army. So they interrogated them, they asked them, and they got some information from them. They actually, hit them as well, and they, captured them. I think they brought them back to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ wasn't happy of the way that they treated them, and they were told to let them go. But those boys then gave up the information. How many people were there, what kind of stuff they had, what kind of military stuff they had. So he informed them, and then he told Quraysh. He turned to the Muslims and said, listen, Quraysh has sent you the most precious lives, okay? Meaning that, the people that were very close to and loved by Quraysh, their leaders. They were all there, okay, other than Abu Lahab. Now, on the same night, something happened, which was it rained. Okay. Now, when it rained, it became a blessing for the Muslims, because Allah mentioned that rain became a blessing for you, but it became a problem for the mushrikeen. Okay. It became, they became, they couldn't sleep well. Where they were camping, it was very mucky. The area was mucky, so with the water, it made it very murky and mucky. So it dirtied them. It made them difficult to move in that area. Whereas where the Muslims were, it didn't actually cause them any problems. Okay, and in fact, it strengthened them, because Allah sent rain to strengthen the hearts and to plant their feet firmly on the ground. Now, what happened is they marched a bit forward, okay, into the further bank of the valley. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam stopped at the nearest spring of Badr. Okay, and at this place he stopped. Al-Hubayb radiallahu anhu asked him, has Allah inspired you to choose this spot? Okay, or is it just a strategy of war? And so the Prophet ﷺ said, it's just a strategy of war. Then he said that this is not really a good place. This place is no good. Let us go and camp to the nearest water well and make it a basin, and make a basin or reservoir full of water, then destroy all the other wells, so they will be deprived from water. Okay, so notice a point here. Okay, now this is about respect as well. That when the Sahabi asked, when the Sahabi asked, when the Prophet ﷺ said something, now they all knew. The ayah in the Quran says, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ, that the Prophet ﷺ does not speak from his own desires. Allah is the one who tells him, informs him, gives him revelation. So that's why he asked him, has Allah inspired you to be here at this place? Because if that is the case, then we know that's the best. Or is it just a strategy of war? And he says strategy of war. Then this Sahabi, Al-Hubayb, was quite good at this, strategies of war. He said, look, this place really isn't that good. Let's move closer to the water. Okay, let's create a basin, take the water out, put it there, and what we do is we block up all the wells around there. Okay, that way the Meccan army will not have access to water. Okay, if you don't have access to water, then you're running on your supplies, and your supplies eventually would finish, and also it'll be rationed. You can't just have as much as you want. Okay, so that's another strategy of war. And the other thing is psychological as well, that when you know you haven't got much water, okay, you will have that on the back of your head, okay, when you're fighting. So the Prophet ﷺ approved his plan, and they agreed, which they actually did at that night. Okay, so now Sa'ad bin Mu'adh radiallahu anhu also the following day suggested that where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be, let's build some kind of canopy, let's build some kind of a covering, so the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam could be there, and then we can use that as a headquarter to fight for. So Sa'ad began to, he suggested that as well. And also he said that, look, in case there's a defeat, the Prophet ﷺ can be protected here, and then we can take him back to Medina. So, that was well thought out. Now, imagine, obviously they were thinking about defeat as well, because there's 313 of them, and there's 1,000 of them, better equipped. 600 of the 1,000 have armor on. Okay, the Muslims were not ready for war, were they? They came, remember, to capture the caravan. They didn't come out to fight a full battle. So, but the situation is that's what they've ended up in. They've ended up in a situation where they're going to have to fight now. Okay. Now, a squad of guards had also chosen from amongst Ansar under the leadership of Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, was ordered to defend the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ spent the whole night preceding the day of the battle in prayer and supplication. The whole night he spent there in prayer and dua, asking Allah to give victory and protect the Muslims. Okay, but that night the rest of the army had slept. They slept fine, and Allah says it in the Quran. The ayah in Surah Anfal. He says, the translation is that remember when He covered upon you sleep when he put sleep upon you, and security. And he also caused the rain to come from the sky to clean you lot and to remove your rids. Rids was the whispering of shaitan. Okay, to remove this, okay, and strengthen your hearts and to make your feet firmly plant on the ground. Okay, وَيُثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَكُمْ. So now, obviously, you have to, under normal circumstances, you have to imagine that this is, imagine you're there to fight amongst 3 people. 3 other guys are there, and they're going to fight you, 1 on 3. They're better equipped as well. So they might have sticks, and you don't have anything. Okay, you might have something small, like a little stick, short, maybe a pen or something to fight them with. Okay, and they have sticks. Okay, or they have big batons, and there's 3 of them, and there's 1 of you. Naturally, you're going to be scared. Okay, this is a natural thing. So, and also some of them were the Ansar that have only accepted Islam recently. Okay, so, the Iman is probably not as strong as Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhu's Iman. Okay, so there's amongst them. So they're in a situation which, everyone would find you'd have fear. Okay, you're waiting for it, and especially the thing is that you're waiting for it, so it's going to happen. That time, it makes it more scared. And obviously shaitan is there all the time. He's there, giving waswas. Are you mad? Why are you going to fight with these lot? Why don't you stop and go back? Don't fight with these lot. They're going to be, he's constantly giving you waswas and trying to make you feel weak. So then this is why Allah says in this ayah number 11 in Surah Anfal, okay, where he said that he gave you sleep. So firstly, when you sleep, it means you rest well, so you're fresh. Okay, and he also said, Allah said, وَيُنَزِّلَ عَلَيْكُم مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً لِيُطَهِّرَ بِهِ وَيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ الشَّيْطَانِ. So he gave on you sleep and a sense of security. And he cleaned you from the wiswas. So the shaitan that was making the wiswas on them, they didn't have that no more. And he made you feel strong. So he boosted confidence. Okay, and he made you strong. So now the wiswas has gone and the fear has gone, and they've had a full night's sleep. Okay, so in the morning, the Prophet ﷺ called his men to offer the salah and the Fajr Salah, and urged them to fight in the way of Allah. As the sun rose over the desert, the Prophet ﷺ drew up a little army and pointed an arrow which he held in his hand, arranging the ranks. So, he drew out on the sand with an arrow the formation, how people would stand. So, 1 line here, 1 line there, like that. So he used that arrow to show that. The Quraysh, on the other hand, positioned their forces in Al-Udwat al-Quswa, opposite the Muslim lines. A few of them approached in a provocative manner to draw water from the well of Badr, but were shot dead except 1. Okay, so some of them tried to come. Okay, Abdul Aziz, I'm doing Battle of Badr. So they came and they were shot away. They were shot at with arrows, as in they're coming closer to the Muslims. So now what happens is the 2 parties approach close and are visible to each other, so both can see each other now. Now the Prophet ﷺ began to make dua to Allah, and he stood there and he made dua. He carried on making dua so much so, okay, that his cloth that he was, his sheet that he was covering fell off his back, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had to go and put it back on. Okay, and then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he went and he whispered into the ear of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, that's enough. Allah will not give you, Allah will give you victory. He will not make you lose. Okay, subhanallah. And this was the position of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, that only he could do this. Yeah, only he could interrupt the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a dua. whereas no one else had the audacity to do that. Okay, and he, as if comforted him. The Prophet ﷺ, and said that, look, Allah is not going to forsake you. He's not going to leave you here. And the dua of the Prophet ﷺ was amazing. He said that, oh Allah, these people here in front of you are the only people on this planet that worship you. Okay, that worship you properly. If these people are to die, then there will be no one ever to worship you, because I'm the last prophet, and there will be no one ever to worship you on this earth. So please protect us. Okay, and that's why we see why this battle was really important, and why Allah called it. Why Allah said it was Yawmul Furqan. Furqan means the criteria, something which decides something for the future. Yeah, it's a decision point. So you can either go this way or you can go that way. Now, had the Muslims lost and were killed, okay, we would not have been Muslim today. Islam would have been finished. Okay, because the Sahaba are the ones who witnessed and testified to what the Prophet ﷺ did. Okay, I mean, when we see hadith, where do we get hadith from? Okay, Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim are the collectors of hadith, but they're not the ones who narrated the hadith. Who narrated all the hadith? It was the Sahaba. Because the Sahaba witnessed what the Prophet ﷺ done. Yeah, so, who brought that news to us? It came through the Sahaba. If the Sahaba are not there, then who is there to tell us? Yeah, no one. So that's why the Sahaba are very important, because they were the witnesses to all of this. And they're the ones who said, we saw the Prophet ﷺ do this. The Prophet ﷺ came in, he said this to me. The Prophet ﷺ said something, like, for example, hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. We all know this famous hadith, okay? He said it to who? He said to the Sahaba. The whole of the deen was taught to the Sahaba. Every aspect of the deen was taught to the Sahaba. So the Sahaba are vital component for our seeking of knowledge, where we get our information from. It does not come to us except via the Sahaba. Okay? This is why, I'm going on a side point here, but this is why when towards the end of the Prophet's life in Medina, when the Jews, they couldn't take power, what they did was they started to, they became munafiq, so they pretended they're Muslim, okay, and they wanted to come and change Islam. And this is the same thing of where you get the Shia madhab from as well, the Shia, because what they do is they discredit the Sahaba, okay. Now, the Sahaba are the witnesses for something. So if you discredit a witness, you're discrediting the case. Yeah. So let's say, for example, I said something to you. Okay. I said that put the pen down on the table. Okay. And there were two people that witnessed it. Okay. Now, if I start discrediting that witness and I say, these two guys, they're liars. They don't trust them. They didn't really actually like the teacher. They and many times they didn't, the teacher would say this to them and they didn't listen. So what they would do is they would discredit the witness, so that when the witness tells you something, you think, oh, he's not truthful. So if he is not truthful, then how does that initial message get to you? It doesn't. You're really actually attacking the source of the knowledge. And this is what the Shia really do, is because they attack the Sahaba. Yeah. If you attack the Sahaba and discredit the Sahaba, okay, then you're actually discrediting Islam and you're discrediting the Prophet. Okay, so this was the Sahaba. Okay, so this is why Allah, Rasulullah is making this dua. He's saying that, oh Allah, standing there, if these people, these 300 people, 313 people, if they die, there's no one that is going to be there for your deen. So please let them, please give us victory. So Rasulullah, is making this dua to Allah. Okay, and this is why this day was very important, because this was a battle that was decisive in existence or non-existence of Muslims. Okay, whereas Uhud was different. The Battle of Uhud, we will do that next, okay? That was different. The Battle of Ahzab was different. The Battle of Hunain was different. The Battle of Tabuk was different, So they were not deciding battles of the existence of Islam. This was. Okay, this is why this battle is very important. This battle also took place on the 17th of Ramadan. Now, obviously, remember Ramadan was a fasting month afterwards. Okay, so obviously the army is not fasting. Okay, fasting became prescribed a bit later on. Okay, I'll check up exactly when it became farad to fast. But the months were there before. But for us, we know Ramadan is a month of fasting. But Ramadan was always there even before the time of Islam. These months were there. Okay, so the 17th of Ramadan in the second of year of Hijrah. Okay, was this battle. Okay, so Rasulullah has just arrived in Medina, literally. Not even been 2-3 years of him settling, and there is a big battle that's taking place now. So Abu Jahl also, on the other hand, okay, prayed for victory, saying, "O Lord, whichever of us two parties are less kind to his relatives and brought us what they do not know, then destroy them tomorrow." They were confident, so the Quraysh were confident that their superior number, equipment, and experience would be decisive, okay, and would help them. The Quran, with a play on words, told them that the decision had come and the victory, but not in the sense that they had hoped for. Okay, so Abu Jahl as well, he made dua. He said, "Look," but his focus was what? Listen to what his focus was. His focus is that which of the two parties is less kind to his relatives. His focus was relations. Okay. Because remember, who are the Quraysh, the Muslims? It's their relatives. Abu Jahl is an uncle of the Prophet ﷺ. Prophet ﷺ's cousins are there fighting him. His father's brother's children. Okay, his other relatives. So it's a lot of them are related to the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, and obviously they're extended members of the Quraysh, which is his tribe. So they are there. Fighting them. So this is what Abu Jahl is saying. Abu Jahl is saying that, look, whoever was less kind to his relatives, and then destroy them. Okay, whereas the Prophet ﷺ is talking about haqq, the truth, what happened. So anyway, we carry on. In the book here, I don't know let me see if I can show you it, is the map of the, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, rotate your device. Just telling me to rotate it 1 second. There's a map this way around. I don't know if you can see it properly or not, but there's a map here of the Battle of Badar, okay, where the things were. So you can see, this map is available anyway online. You can probably see it, okay. So in the map you'll be able to see where the wells of Badr were, where Udwat Dunya was, Quswa, where the Mushrikeen of Makkah was, okay, and where the Muslims were. So now they come together, okay, and they are facing each other, and what happens is that the Muslims, the war begins. Now, when the war used to begin before, you'd have a couple of the brave guys would come and they'll fight, and then whoever wins that will win it. The other dead will be taken back, and they will start like that. And before they go out into an all-out war, okay, all out, everybody against each other. So what happens is the first disbeliever, the first one to become a victim was a disbeliever. His name was Al-Aswad bin Al-Mukhayzami. He was a fierce, bad-tempered mushrik and was known for his fighting. He stepped out and he said, "I'm going to drink from this basin that the Muslims have got." So he enraged Hamza radiallahu anhu, who struck him with his leg and his sword, and then chopped his head off, and he died. Then the battle actually started. Now, the battle actually started, and the Muslims were fighting. Now, Allah made the Muslims fight with so much passion, okay, so much confidence, okay, that they kept marching forward through the battle. Okay, now remember, there was only 2 horseback, the rest of them were on foot. Okay, so if you're on a horse, you have an advantage because you're higher up. Okay, and you can strike down with your sword quite easily. Okay, and you can drive your horse at someone as well. So there's a lot of things you can do. But what happened also is that Allah put fear into the heart of the mushrikeen. And what happened is fear started to go. Now, as the Muslims marched forward very quickly into the mushrikeen, killing them, some of the mushrikeen of Makkah, when they saw go back, they started to retreat. Okay, and eventually what happened is, after full day of fighting, okay, what happened is that the mushrikeen of Makkah, they started to withdraw. A lot of them died, okay, and the rest of them withdrew and ran away. Okay, so now there were many. I mean, in this book here, there's many. What they do is they give you many different little bits and pieces, stories. Okay, because they put story. The author put stories in here, sort of like two youth that were very passionate about fighting, killing Abu Jahl. They went and they said, "Who are you?" They wanted to find who Abu Jahl is. But one of the Sahabi, he said, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he was relating the story. He said that, "No, you two are 2 young kids. You can't do this." Okay, and he said, "No, we want to know who it is." And then they went off straight and they killed Abu Jahl. Okay, so there's stories like that they mentioned here. The author mentions here of them. But anyway, what happened was that when he found out that Abu Jahl was killed, Rasulullah ﷺ was very happy. He praised Allah. He said, "Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, alladhi sadaqa wa'da wa nasara abda wa hazama al-ahzaba wahda." Oh, Allah is great. Praise be to Allah who has fulfilled His promise, assisted His servant, and defeated the people in one go, defeated the people alone. So this is what happened. So anyway, so the Muslims have won. Okay, Mushrikeen have been defeated, and they obviously head back to Makkah, and the Muslims return back to Medina triumphant. Now, this victory sent shockwaves out in Arabia to all the tribes, that the Quraysh came with 1,300 people and they lost against the Muslims who had only 313 people. Okay, embarrassment for Quraysh, big victory for the Muslims. This also put strength, this also put fear into the hearts of other tribes around Arabia, where they thought, oh, maybe the Muslims are weak. They made them out that, oh, if they can fight that much, then these guys are strong. We shouldn't mess with them. Okay, so they had that their reputation as well now, the Muslims. So I think we're coming to the end of the time. You have another class starting, so I'll stop here. And inshallah, next lesson we'll continue on. I'll mention some of the benefits and some of the other points which happened here in the Battle of Badr, and with the reaction of Makkah and what happened in Medina afterwards. And inshallah, I'll carry on with that for next lesson, inshallah. Jazakallahu khair, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.